So, one of the things we want to talk about are portfolios. Now, portfolios can be something that you print and carry around as a book, and those are great in the days before the pandemic when people used to frequently do that. I will say though, it was like that when I was y'all when I was in y'all's situation where I was a student. We had printed portfolios. My portfolios actually, I had boards printed so I could rearrange them and play around with them, reorder them, because interviews always used to be in person and you wanted to show your work. And printed work is always higher quality, well, it was back then, than digital work. And over the years, it has slowly shifted. And now, because online has become electronic, images have become such high quality, we're doing more and more electronic portfolios. It's a very simple, easy thing to do because you can send someone a link and they can immediately look at your work and know whether or not they want to talk to you further. Therefore, not you used to have to, when you did an interview, you used to have to take time off from the job that you had, and you had to get dressed up, and you had to go somewhere you'd never been before, and you had to sit and wait in a waiting room, and then you had to go through a grilling interview in a room full of people. And that was a lot of your time, hours of your time to go on an interview. And you know, person could just look at your work and know that you weren't a good fit for their firm and that their firm wasn't a good fit for you. Save you a whole lot of time now to have an online portfolio, electronic portfolio of your work that you can show someone and save both of you an immense amount of time to decide whether or not you want to talk further. And so that is perhaps the main or the secondary reason why you want to have an online portfolio. The main reason is if you want someone to hire you, whether you do freelance work and are looking for clients, or whether you want to work for someone, having your work in a portfolio is imperative to show people what you can do. I started with this online portfolio. I'm going to show you three and then talk a little bit more about websites. This one I started with because I think it's fabulous. Look at that. Or I'm going to assume he. The website is levonbiss, one word, .com. So this person has paid for their own domain name. And on it, you see they have arranged on the front page, they have arranged in a grid a series of photos they took of seed pods, different types of seed pods, and they're unusual. I don't think I've seen any of these. I mean, I know that that's an acorn, but that's an acorn that I unlike any acorn I've seen before. So there are all these beautiful. Actually, I think I know what that is because there's a tree like that in my yard. It's a black walnut, maybe. But the rest of them, I don't know. Oh, I know what that's for. If you ever see a magnolia tree, it produces seed pods like this, and it releases red seeds from the inside. Um, Look at that. That's just beautiful. See, this is cool. Look, I mean, I'm already engaged and engrossed and just excited, and now I want to see more. Okay, so that's the thing. The front page is to stop their attention and make them want to see more and go in further. And they just put that together in probably Illustrator or I could use Photoshop. You can use Photoshop now in the same way, where they just arranged all their images on a page, saved it as one image. They probably cut it. There's things with web that you want to create a bunch of smaller images out of one big image, but put that image in there in their name, and that's fabulous. Okay, so let's see. If I click on name, I get a little animation that goes into the next page. Ooh, look at that. So it's an animated site. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. I haven't seen that before. Wow. This artist is great work. Oh, Levon Bis. It's French. His name's French. Or her name. Levon is a man, I think. Beautiful work. So now I can see what this photographer is capable of. Very creative, immaculate work. It's beautiful. Okay. And so this is a representation of this person's best work. Wow, look at that. You have to have a very expensive macro lens to capture that level of detail that close. And I'll tell you, I was watching a documentary with a photographer who does very large scale macro images like this. And he took hundreds of thousands of shots. And basically, what you do is because of the narrow depth of field that you have on a macro lens, he would set it up. He had this machine he created, and he would set the lens so that it was at the furthest focal point. You see how you start to get the further, or so this is the plane that's in focus, right? So that's the plane that's in focus. As you start to get further back, you start to lose detail. And that is because of the narrow depth of field. So what he did was he took a shot at the foremost depth of field, or the foremost focus, and then he adjusted slightly by a fraction of an inch, probably by a millimeter, the focus until he got every plane within that depth of field in focus, and then he stacked them in Photoshop, probably with darken mode, and blended them together so that he got this very deep focus with an infinite amount of detail. Somewhat similar to this, but for him, the images were massive. I mean, he would print them out and hang them on a wall, and they would be, 10 feet. So it took years for him to photograph all these insects. But this reminded me of it because he photographed insects like this with this depth of field that is rare. It's interesting. So just by looking through this, oh, wow, look at those wings. By looking through this, you start to get a sense of who this artist is and his work. Okay, and that's the end of that one. All right, let's go to the next one. English. Denis Rouvet, photographer. And this site, when you go to his site, and he is rouvre.com, so rouvet.com, and you go to his site, and it immediately just starts cycling through his portfolio, so you can begin to see what his work is. And then if you click on that, it gives you more. You could go to any one of these. Wow, he shot a lot of really famous people. Oh, great! And so he's talked about who he was photographing and why. And some of it's in French, and this is in English because he does an English version. It's not translation by someone who speaks fluent English, but it's enough to understand it. So you can click on the. Wow, look at the lighting on that. Beautiful lighting. Okay, so we just got done talking a little bit about this, right? So we're in this very dark room, and either he has used flash or he has used still lights on posts. And I'm going to guess this was flash, just based on the brightness of it. And how that's one thing about flash is that so it falls off so quickly that if I shone a light on her that was this bright, it would probably light up the background more. But because it's flash, and flash has a very short distance, and he used a wide angle lens, so it looks like he's further away from her. That's beautiful though. Look at but you can see how he set that up. My uncle found me this job. I don't know what that is. I am happy. I respect myself. I just don't know what that is. She's just something, whatever. Sorry, my French is bad. Wow. Yeah, I'm going with flash. This is we've talked quite a bit about flash. So this is interesting that this is flash. But he's very targeted in how he makes sure the flash is highlighting the specific area where he wants you to look, and then the rest of the image is darker, so you have this beautiful contrast. Beautiful work. Yeah, and that's off camera flash. It's off to her left in this case. Okay, we'll stop here and continue in the next video.